This is Mouth Media Network. Amplify and connect.
If you were to get beamed up from an alien planet in the Devron system and be rematerialized in the transporter room on the Starship Enterprise, but several of your molecules were lost in the transfer due to a malfunctioning pattern buffer, and you were rematerialized without them, but otherwise whole, and the molecules that were lost were key to your ability to be high-functioning and exercise good judgment, that's a pretty good analogy to this program. Live long and prosper, if you can. This is Funny People Talking.
Hey, I'm Bill Gallagher, scalingcoach.com. I'm a business growth coach. And I'd rather be identifying the miscellaneous expenses in my quarterly statements than be listening to Funny People Talking.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Funny People Talking. It is yet another episode, and you're with us because if you're hearing this, it probably means you're with us.
You have to be.
Still with us.
Hopefully.
Still with us again.
Are you
so
still
far,
with
so
us?
good. I'm Mark Rako, one of your hosts. With me, directly to my right, I'm going to say approximately 2:30.
I'm a 2:30 kind of girl.
You're a 2:30 kind of girl. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
Don't know. Good morning. Or good morning. It is morning.
It is morning.
And,
oh, yeah. I'm Danielle Beckman,
Danielle
by
Beckman.
the way.
Hey, Danielle Beckman.
2:30 sounds like a booty call.
I don't know. 2:30
Welcome to Booty Call.
PM. Excuse me.
I'm Booty.
And I'm Call.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, it is the
it's
morning, though.
So this is weird. We've recorded pretty much every show we've ever done in the evening. It's just kind of the way that the dynamics of our time works out.
Yeah.
And it's morning because we have a special guest on this show. And good to see you. Elsie's not here with us, our producer. She is taking care of some personal business.
Her
not able
cat,
to be
probably.
with us. That's right. Her cat and onion business. So anyway, but with us is a special guest because last night I and Lois Herzika, Mouth Media's COO, and we've had heard her on the show. She's joined us as a guest host on the show. She and I went to see a very interesting show at the Comedy Club in New York, Caroline's on Broadway.
The top comedy club, I'd say.
It's
one of them.
They keep telling us that.
It's legit. It's legit.
Yes, it is. And so anyway, they had a really interesting show,
Yeah.
which was, I think it was called something like Mavericks on Broadway or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically it's a group of very successful entrepreneurs or CEOs who have decided that they want to undertake the challenge of stand-up comedy as a personal challenge, as an exercise, as an opportunity to tell their story, and all those things that our guests will tell us more about. And then it all comes down to performing a 15-minute set at Caroline's. And I have to say, it ain't easy to come up with a 15-minute set and then execute it pretty well your first time out.
Yeah.
And our guest was one of those 7 people. Oh, I should mention ticket sales were all to benefit a nonprofit, I believe it is, to help build artificial reefs. Where is it, Bill?
They're
Gallagher.
restoring building artificial reefs down in the British Virgin Islands,
That's
BVI. And they're also teaching locals to swim because there's a lack of... So some people swim because they're right there and it's natural. But then a great deal of youth there don't swim because they don't have pools and swimming education. So they're adding that also so that local folks have a direct connection to the water and then are stewards of the ocean, kind of, that.
So stewards. So it's to help stewards. No, it's a really noble and so comedy for a real purpose, right? So,
right.
Anyway, so by the way, that ominous voice you've been hearing, not ominous.
Is it ominous?
It's
in the morning. It's a little
ominous.
rough.
Well,
I think
it is
we're
the
all
morning.
ominous. In
I
the
sound like I was drinking last night.
Were
You do.
you?
It was partying.
A little bit.
I do want to say, and for good reason, as you'll find out in just a moment. But so Bill was one of these comedians that performed in Aptly So, Sir. And
I
so,
applaud you,
So
sir.
Bill Gallagher is a scaling coach for business, a business growth coach. He's out of San Francisco. He's here with us in our Mouth Media studio in New York, bright and early after a great show, and I might say celebrating his 25th wedding anniversary with his wife and his children who were there.
That is so
adult
cool.
kids.
Adult kids, his grown children.
Adult kids.
Yep. Now it's
They're in
funny,
their
Bill, that
20s.
you should point that out because if we left that alone, we would have assumed you were younger. But now that we know they're adult kids, we've sort of pinpointed the general age.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm 55.
Oh, great.
oh, congrats.
Hey, I'm only 2 years younger than you. So,
Hey, I won't say my
which
age.
means he's older. That's right. But anyway, welcome to the show, Bill. Really, thank you very much for taking time after last night and for,
Yeah.
But it was sweet, by the way. Bill ended his set
Okay.
very emotionally, and I mean that with all respect. He ended his set, jokes were done, and then he pointed out his wife in the audience, and he mentioned that he was celebrating his 25th wedding anniversary, and his salute to his wife could not have been sweeter.
Oh my gosh.
It was emotional. I think for everyone in the room.
For
it
like
was
a
just
second, right?
for a
Just
second.
a little.
Then we all got over
I didn't
it.
milk it.
You gotta give him a taste
No, you didn't.
and
You
then pull it away.
You didn't. It was.
I just said thank you for saying yes. Thank you
Oh,
for sharing your life
my.
with me.
It was the best anniversary gift. It was really lovely. And it was what I loved about it. This is just Mark's observation.
Yeah.
That's a new segment.
Is that Mark's observation?
Yeah.
I dig it. Isn't the whole damn show
You're
Mark's?
aside.
Yes. So keep going. If you're listening, you're listening to Marcos' observations.
It also means you're still with us.
Yes, it hopefully.
Bill, you took a moment.
Yeah.
15 minutes, it was you. It
Yeah.
was all about you and your
Yeah.
observations on the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
You getting the spotlight.
Yeah.
Your journey coming to this moment and so forth
Yeah.
as part of the thing. But you took that second and you made it not about you. That's what you left us with, is that it wasn't about you. It was about her, or it was about you and her, but it wasn't just about you. And I want to salute you. Even if that wasn't like your sort of engineered strategic approach to it, it's what I was left with. And it was the most significant thing I was left with when I reflected on you as a part of the evening.
Yeah.
So thank you for that gift.
That is
So,
delightful.
It was delightful. Anyway,
There aren't many people in a comedy club trying to make you cry for a minute. But I have a lot of skill at
Make
making
you
people
cry
cry. Yeah.
except
I've
the
always
business managers maybe.
Yeah, that's a different kind of cry, not the inspired, moved kind of cry. I've always been good at getting real fast,
Mm-hmm.
and like I could stand up in front of a couple thousand people and make the room, be moved.
Wow.
And I do that all the time, and that's part of why I did the comedy thing, because all my humor's been a little more accidental and aside,
Okay.
and not practiced, and never just that. Yeah. So I thought, like, all my talks and stuff are pretty emotional, and I thought I should touch some other emotions, right? Get a little play, a little laughter to balance it. And when I normally do it, there's a little like tension release or something when I introduce a laugh, but the other is much more practice. So, and yet I think that like the laughter, the high points and the thing were actually kind of related, because what people said to me afterwards was like, oh, it was like when you got authentic, when you told one on yourself, and a lot of people said the funniest line that I had said in the night was that I look like a regional manager for State Farm.
That was the best. That was the best line.
And I wouldn't have predicted that, but it is kind of, when you think about it now back in reflection, like, yeah, that is kind of funny, because I do kind of look like a boring white guy.
That was something someone said to you last night, and then you reflected on it in the act. I thought that was part of your written act.
No, that was in the written act,
Oh, okay,
right?
good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But I didn't know that. And yet when if I want to make people cry, like, I just let whatever's real come out for a minute, and it like floors people. And our leading core value in the company is courageous authenticity, right?
There it is. That's amazing. And also for you to do 15 minutes right out of the gate, I did stand up for a full
It's
year
hard.
and I only had a really solid 5-minute set.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build that. And also, just to speak to the thing you just said very quickly, the whole idea of how you feel or how you see yourself versus how an audience sees you is so, because I'm a performer, Mark's a performer, like we're doing this thing, so we have to constantly say, what's my brand? What do I look like? How does someone interpret me?
Yeah.
Whereas if
Oh, that
you're
would be
a
good to do.
business coach, Mark, you got to get on it.
Just wing it.
Let me look at your website.
I feel like we don't
no,
know
you're like a
all the
mafia
time.
boss. We know what you are.
We so don't. I still think I'm like a super cool late teen young adult.
But you are
and I look
super
like
cool.
that. But that's not what other people
No,
say.
but it's just what someone else sees. No, it's true. It's crazy. It's wrapping your head around
and
it.
that
But that's a part of it.
contrast is what I thought was funny, which was kind of the
It's
undercurrent of my show is we're not who we appear to be.
Look, here's the thing.
There it is.
I think there's a lot of strength in you saying what you realize other people think, and here's why. Because it means that you acknowledge it and don't give a shit. And because if you act hurt about it, let's say, instead of saying, "Yeah, I know that's what I look at like, but I'm actually pretty damn cool."
Yeah.
You know, if that's the kind of message that's coming out, that's very strong. But if you're like, I don't get it. People say this, which is not what you did, then that's weak.
Oh,
in
the cab on the way back from the after party, my daughter's going on. She's like, my dad's cool. And she just started this whole rip. He skateboards, he skydives, he scuba dives, he like all these like things that were like, had some edge to them. Yeah. But the thing was about how I look like a boring white guy.
It's great. You go run with it,
That's right. All right. Speaking of running with it, we're going to get started with the show.
Are we doing a show?
Yeah, did we? I know, we're just chatting. I have a quick question for you, Danielle, before we get to your nerd tip. And coming up, I have I need to tell you about something that I did that that may or may not surprise you. And we're going to play an improv game with Bill that we haven't played in a while, and we're going to find all about Bill and what he does, how humor intersects with it, and his experience doing stand-up last night at Caroline's on Broadway. But first, Danielle.
Mark.
She looks so scared.
I always look scared at this
She knows it happens every time, and yet,
Well, what are you going to comment on about me and what I'm doing today? I'm just wondering.
The Pippi Longstocking braids.
Yeah.
I do not understand why you would do that. So we walked in.
Is it your choice to judge my hair?
I'm not judging.
Okay.
I'm asking a question.
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Okay.
I'm just seeking information, Danielle.
Well, I'm going to a gala tonight.
Is that different than a gala?
Is it a gala, gala, or gala?
I don't know. Is that the difference between biopic and biopic?
Biopic. No, but okay. How do you say it though, for real?
I suppose I would say gala.
That's what I
gala?
said too. Yeah.
I say gala, I think.
Okay.
I think
that's the only one I wouldn't say.
I'm from California.
Gala sounds a little pretentious.
Okay, gala.
I go to a gala.
So I'm going to a gala tonight.
Yes.
And
I'm going to wear my Givenchy.
See, oui. Okay. C'est bon. But the little known or unknown fact is that if you want a lovely wave in your hair, Pippi Longstocking braids are the way to go. So this is like a gala prep.
Which is great
because for the gala.
They're very stiff.
You don't have like a little curling iron.
No, there's no, I don't. What are these called? There's wire hangers in my no more wire hangers, but they're great for your hair if you want to
get a
little crimp. So
you're pre-crimping.
Get a little curve.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where all day you look like a crazy person, but then at night you're ready for the gala.
Very good. Well, thank you for the explanation.
I won't tell you where I'm going. So, because I don't want anyone to follow me there. Oh, wait, this isn't live.
So come on.
Okay.
You're going to the Pippi Longstocking conference?
No, because my hair will be down.
That's true.
And they would be sad.
Yeah, but she probably had her hair down at some point.
She did. She's great.
All right, so
she's a good actress.
I have thank you for that. A question for you then?
It's going to be damp today. Remember, that'll cause the hair to change.
That's actually good.
Yeah.
We want moisture.
Moisture. Yeah. Unless you're naturally curly, and then you might go frizzy. It'd be a mess.
I am naturally curly. Oh my God, how does Bill know everything about hair?
It's moist. Tips? It's moist. It's moist.
I hate that word.
It's a carbuncle.
It's moist.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do people get weirded by moist?
The same reason they don't like the word panties. I think.
Oh, that's a cute word.
Panties.
You like
Guys,
it?
I don't know.
Most women I know do not care for that word, which is funny because that's what is often
Take them off.
Well,
Ooh, Bill,
the word-
on fire. Still going from
it
last
is
night.
9:26 in the morning.
That's right. All right, so you have a nerd tip for us?
I do.
Just the tip, nerd tip.
I actually want to talk about real quickly. This is a nerd fun fact.
Oh, fun fact.
Just the tip. Okay.
Daniel likes to
So-
sing the logo when it's not.
There's a slogan, a jingle.
Yeah.
We can slow it down, then it'd be a slogan.
And then it would. Oh my god, that's so good. So I always have like a little nerd fun fact or nerd tip here.
Which we may eventually get to.
Now this is very general. I'm excited about it, but I want to talk about the first usage of nerd, the word nerd in print. In print. Do you have any guesses?
A cartoon.
Yes, close. Well, yeah, basically. It was in 1951. That's the year my parents were born. What?
Oh.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah, 1951.
Early
Squeakers.
50s.
And it was in If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss,
Oh.
where the narrator says that if they ran the zoo, they would sail to Catrue and collect a nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker too. And so the word was picked up by children who are reading it or being read to. And the book in the 1950s was adopted by older siblings to the word nerd was being like describing the square kids in class. So like if you were a square, you were a nerd.
So the understanding is that nerd was actually just fabricated by Dr. Seuss.
Well, in print. Like that was the I guess you're right.
Print.
No, I guess you're right.
I don't know.
So they used it how then?
A nurgle, a nerd, a seersucker too. I don't know. It was adopted by older siblings to describe the squares in their class to be nerdy.
Oh.
But it was in If I Ran the Zoo. So
You're a
really, we're
nerd.
just talking
Nerd
about.
alert.
But that's the first time it was used.
It says that
It's
Dr.
pretty
Seuss
recently.
invented the word.
Well, that is kind of the
Easily
coolest
could
thing of
be.
life.
Yes.
I
To
mean,
invent a word.
I'm really cool with it.
what's that
To
then.
about?
invent a word is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, like Dr. Seuss is a regular Shakespeare. That's it.
I'm going to invent a word right now. Stromify.
Oh,
I
it
assume
sounds
that's not-
delicious.
Stromify?
Sounds like Stromboli mixed with the stratosphere.
Actually, Stromify might be a word.
Are we gonna?
I don't know.
Is
It's
this
a
gonna be
four-strand
our
braid
improv game?
process.
Because this is a pretty good improv
It is a
game.
good. We'll have to think about that. I don't know. So, hey, Danielle, do me a favor.
Start the show, Mark.
Wait, don't tell me.
From the Mouth Media Network studios in New York City, and from the same people who brought you Monkey Radio with Mark, this is Funny People Talking with Mark Rako, Danielle Beckman, and Elsie.
Everybody, welcome to Funny People Talking. We're here with Bill Gallagher, a business growth coach out of San Francisco, and he's here with us in the studio bright and early in the morning.
I just realized that I have a Gallagher somewhere in my heritage, and I got really excited.
Oh,
Probably.
On my grandmother's side, like the Irish side, but I'm more Italian. It's strange, but
Irish and Italian's good combo.
we might be related.
very nice.
They're both
Reunited.
have problems.
They're both what?
Have problems.
Oh yeah. Well, if we're alive, you have a problem.
right.
You know.
Before we get started, a quick piece of housekeeping. Bill, on this show, we take a moment to appeal to the comedy gods, to ask them for their involvement, their intrusion, their support, if you will, to allow our great comedy target, Tina Fey, to participate in this show at some point in some way. Tina Fey.
Yeah. So we're just gonna
So we
speak
do
to
a
her.
quick
real
prayer to the comedy gods. You're invited to participate if it so it moves you to do so. It's totally up to you. We're just going to take a moment, and I shall begin. Oh, comedy gods, please,
Tina, we would
Fey,
love
come
you
on
to
the
come.
show, join us,
Tina,
call us, stop by,
Tina,
send a letter. We don't care.
Tina,
Just something. We love you. Comedy gods, please help. Amen.
Wow.
But maybe she'll do it just to get this over with.
And just because that harmony was so strange.
It was rough. It was rough. It was just
That's awkward, right?
It was weird.
He didn't even join. You're going to be eating your words.
She's I love Tina Fey. She's smart, funny, but sexy. She's uber milfy.
She's smummy.
Smummy.
We're going to keep waking up words.
That's
and
right.
hopefully one will stick.
You know,
Stromboli.
if she were to show up on the show, I would be entirely strombified.
I would be I would be laid out stromified on the floor.
Yeah, I'm going to start using that word, see if it catches.
Well, you know what? Don't try to make fetch happen. Okay. Boom. That was a Tina Fey reference as well.
Well, cracker on a cheese.
Okay. What?
That was actually from the show The Middle.
Oh yeah, with Patty Heaton.
And the little kid Brick makes up a word in one of the episodes. He wants to make up his own phrase that gets used. What do you call that? Not an analogy, idiom or something like that. I think an idiom.
Yeah.
He wanted to make one up, so he says it's like when something doesn't go together, it doesn't make sense. It's cracker on cheese.
That's cute.
And I was like, that actually sounds like it should be an idiom. So he keeps
delicious.
repeating it, hoping it will catch, and then someone does say it. So, so stromify. I have something to tell you.
Shove it. That's what I used to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Elaine said it on Seinfeld.
Oh,
anyway, I just wanted to try it out.
Ouch!
Get out. Also, shove it, Mark.
Shove it.
Okay, yeah. Tell me.
Shove it.
What's
Guess
happening?
what I did on Saturday?
I don't know. Did you go wakeboarding?
No.
Oh,
so
super
close.
fun.
So close.
I learned to wakeboard this summer.
Oh my gosh!
Did you
Wake
really?
surf.
Oh, fun.
That's cool.
In the in the bay, in the
Well,
In La Bay?
randomly, first I did it on this artificial wave in Arizona, and then a few days later I did it behind a boat in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, my
And it was
mother
pretty good.
a
It was like
cocktail
it didn't
waitress
take,
there.
but then I surfed as a kid. So
Oh,
I
okay.
still surf a little bit, but
well, remember he's the cool dad.
You are. My mother was a cocktail waitress in Lake Tahoe. She met Elvis,
Was her
Telly
name Lola?
Savalas, and more.
wow,
What?
Telly Savalas.
Oh no, that would be a show.
I feel like I need a lollipop.
I get jokes. And by the way,
What did you do? Yeah.
But before, speaking of being in the water and being on the bay, I'm assuming this is true. Bill let something go in his comedy set last night that he
Gas?
Yeah, I was
Yes,
like, what rip?
I know. Well, just like a State Farm regional
Let it
manager.
go.
You have swam the distance between Alcatraz and the shore 10 times. Is that true?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my
And a bunch
Sharks
of
and
others,
all.
but yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
That's
cold
amazing.
as fuck. I'm a really mediocre swimmer. I can manage the conditions. I'm good with that. But I always was a terrible slow swimmer. In fact, one of my really embarrassing moments in the 7th grade was discovering that I was a bad swimmer. And I didn't think I was. I thought I was awesome. Because we lived near the beach, and I would surf almost every other day.
Gotcha.
And I swam in the ocean. I thought I was awesome. Now I'm in school. There's like a little swimming competition as part of the grade things. I swim. I'm fucking dead last. And I'm so painfully slow. But I could swim for 3 miles.
But you did it.
Just really slowly.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did. And I don't love it, but I've done it a whole bunch of times.
That's cool. So, Mark, you did that this weekend?
No.
Oh, what did you do?
I did stand up. Now,
No,
this
I saw a
is-
clip and I was
this is-
excited.
In the
this
water?
Is yes. This is by no means to step on the spotlight of Mr. Bill Gallagher, who did a 15-minute set at Caroline's. I just did an open mic at.
You did an open
at
mic.
the Pit.
Good for you.
But it
I
was the
feel
first
like
time.
I might try that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting different dynamic. And one of the things that's very tough about doing an open mic to me is that if you were not one of the first people there to sign up, and I'm sure you've been in this situation.
Yeah,
Danielle,
I used to do mics like every night. Ugh.
there are many people who will come, do their set, enjoy the benefit of the audience that is there, and then leave like an asshat.
Everyone's supposed to stay and
And
give
I,
you good energy.
I completely understand that every once in a while you're going to get someone who is somewhere they need to be, or they didn't anticipate how long it would take. I totally get it can happen. But when you go from, say, a crowd of 25 people and you end up with like 6 by the end, I believe that is unacceptable to make me sit, or whoever sit, for an hour and a half for my turn because I didn't show up an hour ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then you leave and then I don't have the benefit of the same thing that you had. I think it's unacceptable. And I have actually a suggestion of a thing that could be that if you stay to the end, you get a ticket. And if you bring the ticket to your next open mic at that comedy club, they will give you an additional X number of minutes that you can perform.
Ooh, that's so smart. And it's not going to cost them anything.
No, it's an incentive, and that means that the people who are truly paying their dues get to perform longer. That's to me what I that's my proposal for all of you comedy clubs out there, to take the pain away a little bit. And the reason I say that is I think it could be discouraging for someone with some real possibilities who gets discouraged because they see this happen and they feel
You're like
betrayed.
a really nice guy. I just fucking lock all their phones up in a time lock and you get them back at the end of the night.
There you go.
You can't call your Uber until the show's over,
love
bitch.
That.
Yeah.
Well, when I got up on stage, I told the crowd, I said, so all of you here get a key to my nuclear fallout shelter.
There you go.
The rest of the people who left can all F themselves. Yeah.
Oh, I love the key idea to the shelter. I'm in. I'd stay.
Oh, you got one, Danielle, already. So
Thank you. No, but you know what, Mark? The other thing too about open mics is that a lot of people are judgy.
Yeah.
Because either, well, not by choice, but it's because they're thinking about their own joke. They're thinking about their own set. They're all comics. They're watching you. They're going, impress me. They're not a generous audience. So that
I'm not. I'm like judging and evaluating every person. I'm like, ooh, I better not make that mistake. And
but what, last night?
Yeah.
But what if you go to a normal comedy club? If you go to a normal comedy show, you're sitting there, you're saying, make me laugh, but I'm already inclined to laugh because I paid and I have a drink in my hand.
So I'm a speaker more than like comics new.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm speaking, I'm thinking about, wow, those slides are terrible. Oh my God, could you move around a little less or move better? Like,
because you do
I'm
it.
picking apart everything they're doing nonstop. Like, okay. And then when they do something good, I give them credit in my own mind. Yeah. But like, I might even say it later, but I am like studying it, analyzing it, borrowing from it. Yeah.
Well, take that times 25, and that's what you have at an open mic.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if that crowd dwindles to 6, it can be really hard to gauge what jokes are actually working or not working.
Exactly.
Because people might not even laugh out loud.
But even with that, you're absolutely right about it. Even with that, I would just to close the circle of the story real quick, it was a really. I was proud of myself for getting back on stage, creating this new material, getting back on stage. I hadn't really judged how long it would take. I probably only got halfway through my set when, I got the hand. And then the guy stood up and cut me off. I didn't even get to finish the joke.
Yeah.
And I was actually a little upset about that because of the amount of time that he joked in between sets and took the time as the MC.
Tension horn.
And there was no consistent, it was the popular people got a little more time to do what they want up there.
Yeah.
And I, as a newbie to that environment, got cut off right away. So what happened was I kind of objected a little bit, in a jokey way.
Yeah.
And then when we were all done, he invited me to come back on stage to finish the joke. Now, on the one hand, I could say, F you. Do you know anything about comedy that's implausible? But I said, oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I said, but moment's kind of over. May I do a different joke? So I actually pulled a joke from my set that I used to do years ago, just off the top of my head, and it killed.
Yes.
It absolutely killed. It was a great way to finish out.
Like a fine wine.
As opposed to feeling like with my head down, kind of like, wah, wah, didn't finish the joke, ended on a poop moment.
Yeah.
And he, of course, he had to have his say. He goes, well, I took a risk on that one. I'm glad it paid off. I was like, you know what?
Yep.
Again.
This is
there
your
are
like,
lots of
new
buses,
best friend,
and
right?
he's throwing you under them.
Love him.
This is why I left the comedy world.
He sounds just clueless. I think more clueless than intentionally offensive.
He does not love himself very much. I got that impression.
No.
But
maybe he needs a spa day.
I may do it again.
Yeah.
We'll see. I want to do it again, but I was
don't go to that mic. I'll give you 10 other mics you should go to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They're better mics.
10 other.
I was supposed to go with Ben, my old partner.
Yeah.
He came, but he couldn't stay, so he never performed.
And he didn't see you.
He didn't see me. So, all right. Anyway, moving on. I just wanted to mention that it's hard to do the show and talk to people about comedy and then not talk the walk.
Yep.
All right. Let's play a quick improv game. Then it's all about Bill.
ABB.
That's what we say. So the game that I thought would be great to play with Bill is, I don't remember the name of it, but
Mary Lemmer.
Mary Lemmer came on the show and she taught us this one. It's really cool. So the idea, Bill, is that you have a complete conversation with someone, except you only use a sound. The other
I'm really mystified why you thought this was appropriate for me. But
I'll explain. So, but you know what your intention is.
Uncomfortable, maybe.
when you're making the sound.
Yeah.
In your mind, you know what you're saying is a word.
Yeah, you have the intention.
So the idea is that listening to this conversation in only sound, so you might be like, ba, 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 let's say, okay? And that's the entire conversation between you. You both on your end know what you're saying, but you have no idea technically what the other person is saying, what conversation they think they're having. Then you do it again, trying to follow as close as you can the rhythm or beats of the conversation as you just had it, but now with real words as you had intended them. And then you kind of see what ended up happening and whether you guys read into each other the intention of the conversation.
But we'll get like a scenario or a relationship, so it's easy.
Yes. So it's a great example of listening, as well as sometimes what you think someone is doing is not what you think they're doing, or whatever. So
should we demonstrate, Mark?
Absolutely. So Bill, can you give us a situation in which two people would be talking? Anything at all.
And like their relationship.
And what town they live in.
No, I mean,
okay, sorry.
Standing in line at Starbucks.
Great. We're standing in line at Starbucks.
Great.
And can you give us a nonsensical sound?
A nonsensical pa.
Pa. Okay.
Okay.
Pa.
Pa. Pa.
Pa.
Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa.
Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa. Pa.
Papa. Papa. Pa. Pa.
Pa. Pa. Pa.
Pa. Pa.
Pa.
Pa. Pa.
Pa.
Pa. Ugh. Papa. Papa.
Papa.
Papa. Papa.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna do the scene now.
All right. So ready?
Okay.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, dude, calm down.
Gonna be so late. Come on.
Where do you have to go? Like the hospital or something?
I have to get to work. I'm gonna get fired.
Okay.
Come
Just.
on.
Oh my God.
I've got to. What is taking them so long?
Probably. I don't know. The line's really long. It's rush hour, dude. Just like calm down. It's fine.
Come on.
Oh my God. This guy is. Can we hurry it up? This guy is like really intensely acting crazy.
Can I just go?
Yeah, just cut in line. Here, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll have a latte.
Oh my God.
All right.
I just want a matcha.
Thank you.
That was good. That was what I thought.
Although I will say, I think
You
I
went
ended
cray
up
in the papa.
F you at the end. I think it's more my intention.
In your papas, you went cray. I was scrolling on my phone.
Cray.
That's what I was doing. I wasn't just giving a thumbs up.
Oh, I thought it was you having this palsy. Okay, so Bill, why don't you and Danielle try it as well? You want to give it a shot?
Okay.
So you are a doctor and a patient.
Okay, we don't know who's who.
You don't know who's who. And that's key. And your sound is la.
Can we not do another ah?
Okay.
Yeah,
low.
Low?
Yes. You asked for it. You got it.
Okay. Okay, ready?
I like low.
So okay, ready?
Low.
Low, 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 low. Low.
Low?
Low.
Low.
Low, 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 low.
Low. Low. Low.
Low, low.
Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low. Low.
Low. Low. Low.
Low. Low. Low.
Low. Low. Low, low.
Okay. I'm very interested to see where this goes. All
Okay,
right, so
ready?
give it another try. Real words, same intent.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, so I have this weird thing on my arm. Dr. Shivago.
Doctor.
Can you help me,
Yes.
doctor?
Yeah. So how long has that been there?
Like since I was born.
Does it hurt you?
No.
Yeah. So why are we talking about this
Oh,
thing?
so it's not life-threatening?
No. We could freeze it off if it make you feel better.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, good. Well, it may leave a scar.
Oh, I don't want to do it then. But
Well,
I feel better.
if it gets irritated, come
Yeah.
back and see me again.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dr. Shivago.
You're anytime.
By the way, when you still have to freeze it off, I was hoping you'd say my whole arm.
No, it's because I've had too many moles like frozen off in my life. I couldn't go crazy.
I had somebody the other day.
That was good. That was successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awkward, but I could see it's useful.
Well, thank you very much for giving that a try. It's really a great exercise with someone may or may not be down the
It kind of
route
works
the
your
kind of
brain,
coaching
though.
you do. But I'm saying it's great to get someone out of a loop of thinking and make it like just express yourself to me without words,
Uh-huh.
with the same words in your mind, and forget the words.
So the comedy thing was a challenge, and I try to do something boundary challenge. Like I'm looking for something every quarter, every 3 months. And last quarter I did something very much like that. It was called vocal improv.
Yep.
But it was singing musical.
Oh, that's fun.
And they're like, okay, so you're going to make sounds, but not really words. And they're going to try to be musical. And I sounded like, that sounds really uncomfortable. So I went and did it. And as it began, right, here we're in a circle. And first there's some warming up and moving around, people making sounds and moving around in random ways. And then they start this thing. They're like, okay, I'd like you to start a pattern, but leave some room in it. And then they're like, okay, you fill in some interesting contrast to the pattern. And then this other person, maybe you add a little something deeper. And then the fourth person, you should solo.
Yeah.
And then they went around, and as it started to come around, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be up next. All I could think of is, I'd just rather take off my clothes.
You're like, I'd rather
This is horrifying.
Yeah.
I've got to sound cool in front of other people in a few minutes. And of course, the instructor, the leader of this workshop, sounds beautiful and is really deeply trained and has an amazing voice. And I thought we were going to learn to sing or something.
Yep.
Vocal improv.
How did it go, though?
Oh, it was really uncomfortable. It was awful.
But did you do like that?
All kinds of things. Yeah. So, and there were some people who were like full-on scat singers who sounded fantastic
Wow.
and beatboxers, and
Yeah.
there were people with great skills, and they were really awkward people like me. But
Great.
then at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, thank God that's over. But then starting the next day and ever since then, I did find that I was much sort of freer and looser
Cool.
with my voice.
Yeah.
And
Yes. That's the
So it
point.
sort of
You
worked,
broke
right?
the seal a little bit, you know?
Yeah, a
And-
little bit. And when I think about like performing to, one of the best things that I ever learned as a speaker was many years ago. And we had this thing where we were all sort of trying to like break through our awkward, inauthentic barriers. And they had us go on stage and deliver a poem with nothing held back. Like just lay it all out there. And as you watch, there's a pretty big audience of people going through the speaker training, and anybody with like a performance background just sucked. And because they were all like trying to perform and do whatever. And then you start to see people that made it through. And so the whole group had to pass you or not pass you. And if they thought you were holding back, so anybody trying to give a performance failed, and anybody who just exploded passed. So by the time I was late, so I could observe the lessons, I got it like right away. And I just went up, I have no idea what it looked like. There was like spit flying out and my arms were flailing and my voice was ruined for like a week, but I just exploded. And I got from that moment that there's a generosity of performance, that you get out there and you wail, and it's like a gift. It's like, I'm holding nothing back. Here's who I am. Here's what I got. And that was super powerful.
It's interesting because what I was literally thinking is doing this improv game, and I appreciate you participating, but it appeared to me from the outside that it was uncomfortable for you, and if nothing else, to get into it. And
Yeah.
And I would propose that you doing it or anyone doing it is way cooler than someone who decides not to do it because they think it's cooler to not look silly or feel like they're doing something uncomfortable. Way cooler to do it and make a fool of yourself if that's what's happening.
I think it's a 7th grade kind of thing. It's like, look, I'm not going to do anything that's going to embarrass myself. Right. I don't want anyone to laugh at me. I don't want to be awkward. I only want to do things that are cool.
Yeah, but it sounds like you challenge yourself quarterly. Yes. So
saying,
hey.
I do pretty
I'm saying that this is what I'm getting at is that the things that you're challenging yourself to do, it's so much more poise to stand quietly and with great, what I'm trying to say, you're like positioning in a corner, not moving, because you've got balance.
Yeah.
One has balance.
Yeah.
But you are not a stand in a corner kind of guy, I get, because look, you're swimming with the sharks, you're skateboarding, you're waveboarding, you're doing improv, you're doing stand-up comedy, you're doing all these things because you're testing your own limits, and you've proven that you are willing to go out an edge to be an example to your kids, to be an example to yourself, to test your own limits. And frankly, how can you expect the people that you coach to test their own limits if you aren't even willing to do these things that aren't going to kill you?
You know, it's funny as you say that. I think like that's all true and accurate. And yet there's also a really critical balance, whether you're performing or whether you're coaching or navigating any other part of life. And that's to like listen and be aware and respond, and to not just be just like this hot mess of look at me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fair. If you're coaching very high-end executives, you also need to know that they see you and you see yourself as a reasonable peer in the dignity that they maintain.
So sometimes you start something, right, by example, but then you have to sort of pull back and let people do their thing.
Exactly.
Or something's going and you're listening and you're just listening for that one little nudge. It's kind of kung fu, right? You're listening for that one little thing. We're just going to give it a little zotz, a little zest. You're going to add something that keeps it going.
Right.
And I think that's, there's some intention, but it's in a dance with what's happening around you, the people and the...
Yeah, you're constantly calibrating. Exactly. And I think that that's really great.
All right, coming up, we're going to dive both feet or both hands. I guess it really depends on which way you're diving.
Or belly flop.
Or belly flop. It's all bell all day right after this.
Connect with the show at Mouth Media Network or at our website, funnypeopletalking.com. And please, for the love of all that is holy, subscribe to the show and leave us a damn review and a really, really good rating on iTunes. Pretty please? Thank you.
I also used to write jokes with a partner, Timmy Farnsworth, and Timmy and I had a great partnership. I would write the first part of the joke because I was good at that, and he would write the punchline because he was good at that, and I sucked at that. So we, worked really well, and then he went to prison for 5 years, but I still had the creative process going, so I kept writing first parts of jokes, and I haven't talked to Timmy. But my hope is that he's kept writing punchlines, and then when he gets out, maybe there'll be enough of them that match together, and we'll have like a whole routine. But I've kept going, and I really haven't shared them with anyone, so I thought maybe I could try a couple of them out here and just kind of see how they fly. Now remember, they don't have punchline, but you can kind of imagine where they might go. So, so this is the first one. Okay, so 2 6-year-olds walk into a bar. And there's a tall one and a short one. The tall one comes to the bar and says, hey, can I have a whiskey? And the bartender says, sorry, I don't serve alcohol to kids. And he says, but we do have a happy hour between 6 and 7 tonight, and we have half price on heroin. And the short one says, and then punchline. All right, we are back with Bill Gallagher, business coach to the stars. I don't know.
Potentially my cousin.
Potentially. I know.
Oh man. No, Bill, I wanted to touch on what you were saying about when you were giving it your all as a
Yeah.
gift in that poem that you were doing. And what's and what's fascinating is how you said the quote unquote performers in that moment, maybe they were performing too much or it wasn't as raw and authentic. But you're saying you walked away with your voice shot and you gave it all.
Spent.
Which is so funny because right. But I almost feel like the only difference between you and performer in that moment is a performer is trained, hopefully, in the way that you train your clients. They're trained to not lose their voice. They're trained to breathe from their center. They're trained for these things. But at the same time, depending on where someone is on their journey, they might overtrain to the point where they're in their head too much. So I love this idea of like getting up and doing 15 minutes of stand up last night and just being raw, or getting up and doing this poem and just being raw.
Yeah.
And I would love to know, like, as you were saying with your clients, you know, adjusting or tweaking or helping them, like what that process of working with a client looks like for you.
Oh, of working with a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I'm also a coach, but in the creative acting artist world.
Yeah. So, well, people come to me because they want to grow their business and it's not growing anymore.
Small, like entrepreneurs?
No, like average, like my average is maybe $40-50 million businesses, right? A couple hundred people, that kind of thing. Yeah. But I might start somebody at like 50 employees or something like that, and I'll go to several thousand. So they're teams, and I coach not just the CEO, but the whole leadership team together. I'm coaching them through a variety of stuff. They come to me either because they've stopped growing and they want to get growing again. So we're got to master or work out some strategy stuff. Or they've been growing and they're trying to deal with it or sustain it. Like they're worried about it stopping, or it's all a mess and they're exhausted and they're looking for an easier way. It unfortunately, I should get more of that latter, and I get more of the former on it. But those are the two cases. So I coach the CEO and the senior team in doing some stuff that then trickles down to the whole organization and gets them growing and growing healthy and that kind of thing. And I work with people for like 2 or 3 years on average.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And I see them, I talk to them every month. I see them every quarter. So there's a lot involved with the thing. It's from a framework called Scaling Up that I used as a CEO in the past, and I grew a number of companies on my own, and then now I coach others because I'm 55. It's kind of a sort of a retirement gig. Anyway, you were asking about what's the process like, right? So in the beginning, I'm trying to understand what's the situation, what's the challenge, why are they looking for a coach?
Yeah.
Can I coach them? Is there any hope for this situation? Do I understand the problem? Can I help them? Are they coachable? Is a personality a fit? Can I work with this team, this person for the next 2 years? Do they get me? And I think the coachability is fundamental. Lots of people say they want to coach, but they don't really want to do anything different. They want you to work on everybody else. And one of the little jokes in the bit last night about my work is that people don't often want to do a lot of work on themselves. They would like it to be anywhere else, which is always my thing. Like when things are fucked up, I want it to be somebody else's fault.
Right.
But not mine.
Or someone else to do the work. And sometimes people, when they hire a coach, they think the coach is going to magically do work for them.
Yes. And I'm definitely not a consultant or a contractor. Okay. So the good news, bad news, right? Like everybody that I work with has the company they deserve, or they deserve the company they have right now, right? So they got to the level they got because of who they are, because the way they are. And we're going to work on some things in the whole company, but there's also a beginning of it that starts with the founder CEO.
Right.
And we're going to have to deal with that and approach that. And although they say yes intellectually at the beginning, they don't really. So like one of the things that I put up that I hear all the time is like, oh, my people are late on things. And then I notice that the CEO walks in late to meetings all the time.
Wow.
Like, you're a hot mess, dude. You've got to deal with yourself if we're going to start to get everybody on time with everything.
Yeah.
Or change the whole reality of it. Or they'll be like, oh, everybody's so passive. But they always talk. They fill every moment of everything. They never shut up. And they're like, you've trained your people that to be passive, to wait, to figure out what you need to hear, and then say just enough to leave you alone, leave them alone,
Yep.
right? So there's always a beginning of it, and that's the good news, bad news, right? So it's kind of bad news because it's like it's all your fault, and that's awesome news because you could work on you.
Yeah, you're just holding up a mirror. And
Yes.
and not a mirror that, say, their spouse could hold up or a coworker can hold up, or
Right,
you're
maybe not,
the
because
only one.
those people haven't probably been a CEO before. They don't have a feel for it.
Or the CEO might not
Right.
listen to that person in a way they would a coach.
Yeah, there's a really great phrase. I don't know where it came from. It's just funny, but that we'll never really know who discovered water, but you can be pretty sure it wasn't a fish. So,
Well, fish is going around going, I don't know what this is, but
But I'm in it.
as a coach,
someone would
I'm
tell
not
me.
the coach because I built bigger companies necessarily than them. I
Right.
may have or may not. I may not be or may be richer than they are. I may or may not be smarter than they are. None of that matters. It's my commitment that they grow and willingness to help them see what they don't see about themselves. Now, along the way, we teach them tools and implement certain things in the company practices.
Of course, okay.
But the core thing is actually that the insight and the development of the CEO and the rest of the leadership
Yeah, there's
team.
a root either
Yes.
issue or problem there that has to be
Right.
addressed. That makes sense.
So I'm really interested, Bill, the process that you went through with Matt Kazam, is that his
Kazam,
his
yeah.
name? Who was the comedian that led this experience and taught you and coached you really to help develop a comedy set and then ultimately perform, be ready for that. And he himself actually emceed the event last night.
I love it.
He did good. He warmed up the crowd.
He warmed
That's
up
great.
the crowd. I was a little worried for him. He was breaking a sweat. But
He was warm.
Yeah, my question is, what if any parallels in your experience through that process did you note in terms of the work that you do? I realize you're not doing the exact same thing, but were there some things that you found as familiar territory in that process, or was this a completely alien experience for you?
Well, so Matt deals with a couple different things. He deals with the writing and the delivery of the material, right? And there's a fair the writing and development of the material was probably the most stressful for me. And then the delivery of it, like having a memorized thing that I need to learn and deliver in that order, in that way, without like, that was a little bit challenging. But then he also deals a lot with like the speaking stuff, just having a stage. And I think most of us have done some speaking and that kind of thing. I do a ton of it. So that part wasn't as helpful, but was familiar to like how I coach CEOs to talk at a conference or do, because some come from backgrounds where they haven't done a lot of speaking, and I will end up working with them how to speak to their company and that kind of thing. So some do, some don't. I have one right now that like really needs to like loosen up to be more effective and find a little swagger and
I
like
hear
that
ya.
kind of thing. Yeah. So
Get stuffiness out.
he's
Do you
little
recommend they
stiff.
go through a process themselves like this then?
They could, not
Yeah.
everybody be open to it. So, if when that kind of thing comes up, I may share with them some different experiences that I've had that have loosened me up. I spoke
Exactly.
as a kid,
Yeah,
right?
low,
Exactly.
low.
That's right.
I did speaking and stuff as a kid, but I noticed like mid-career, early career, I would get sort of mediocre marks. Because it was too controlled. It was too much of that regional manager for State Farm kind of thing. Too careful. I wouldn't zing it. And now, knowing kind of how I appear to be, even though I have to consciously remember it, and then zinging them with something is very effective because it's that contrast of like, oh, he's like this, but then he went
So
there,
cool.
that misdirection.
So that might have been your biggest takeaway from the process.
It's kind of like
Thank
your
you.
own little punchline, because you're going a certain way and people think you're going, and then the zinger, which is what a joke is.
Yes. And you're-
So ultimately, as you imagine, I'll close with this.
Yeah.
In the interest of time. Bill, as you reflect on your experience last night in performing at
Yeah.
Caroline's, and really the whole process, painful and enjoyable, and introspective and I guess adventurous leading up to that performance.
I thought I was going to throw up. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to like lose my, just was beside myself. And I'm only ever a little nervous.
I will tell you this, and you're not only entitled to your own observations of how you felt and also how you did feel clearly as an audience member.
Yeah.
I would say that you appeared to me in the top 2 to 3 out of the 7 comics least nervous person up there. The most.
Oh yeah, no. Once I got
up
going, I'm like, these people, I'm connecting. I'm talking to these people. I was at home. I felt great. It was a blur. I don't remember a whole lot of it. I look forward to seeing the videos because it just like.
Oh, they did shoot video of you.
Oh yeah, we had great video. Yeah,
that's great because I was hoping that
great
you would
video and sound.
Really good.
Yeah.
So
it was a blur, but and I was a mess before I went up, and I couldn't run through the set once without forgetting like 5 or 6 times before, and then the moment came and I got up there and I thought I killed it. I thought I did really good.
Did you not have a cue card?
No.
I mean, not a cue
but
card.
I use a memory trick. No, I just I think about each of my bits, and whenever I do a talk, and I organize them in places around the house. So this idea is on the steps, and this idea is at the door, and this idea is in the living room, right? So I use that little technique. And then when I'm like, oh, I was just at the living room, I need to go to the TV, and then I can remember where I am.
That's how I think about like when I was in college. And I want to preface this by saying I never cheated on a test ever, and I did fine in college. But there were a few instances in which I was a little nervous, and I created a cheat sheet for myself, which I literally never looked at. But in my mind,
the visual,
I would visualize
we had
that
the same thing. Remember?
Yeah,
we had that same.
So a visualization that you can then go to quickly in your mind. Oh, I'm here. I need to go there. Was good. I was getting homework on the transitions. Like, have I finished everything on the deck? Am I ready to go to the mezuzah?
Let me make sure that I juiced it all out.
Okay, last question. So you said, I'm done. I did that. It's over. Was your family, as you went out and celebrated last night, like, the next time we do it, Dad, you could tweak this and do that, and they were excited for your next time?
My family was very complimentary. They're like, you did really good. It was awesome. We loved watching you. And they had feedback. Like, the kids didn't like any of the sexual references, and they didn't. Right? They're like, kids. I don't want to think about my dad, and oh my God, that's awkward. And they really were kind of done with the like generational millennium. Millennials are like this, or there's an app for that. They're like, that's such tired shtick.
Right. Interesting.
Right. So and I thought, oh, that's pretty clever stuff. They're like, yeah, everybody's done that already. We don't need to hear any more of that.
So they could help you ghostwrite your set. If they're on the ball.
Yeah.
That's
all right,
awesome,
Bill. How can people find you and the things that you're doing and catch up with you if
well, I do a podcast every week myself.
Yeah, what's that called?
Scaling Up. Awesome. And the Scaling Up is the podcast, and it's a business podcast. And you'll see my happy face there. And of course, I post that and my blog and all that other shit every week at scalingcoach.com. And which is where like my workshops and my speaking stuff is posted. Most of it anyway.
And are you on the socials?
Oh yeah. But that's harder to do. B.illcoach, B.illcoach on Instagram, and Bill Gal on Twitter, and I don't know, everywhere else.
Okay, great. Well, I hope that you got everything you needed to and wanted to out of this experience, trying comedy out. I will say, as an audience member, I think you did kill it, and I think you should feel successful. And it's not a blur to me. It was clear what you did, and so you'll see it in the video, and you'll probably be your own worst critic, but I promise you there was enough nuggets of, I don't even mean this to be like encouraging as much as just report into you.
Thank you.
I think there were enough great nuggets out of there that you're light years ahead of most people that try it out the first time. Honestly.
So I think I would probably try it again. I might try an open mic or some other things.
Try something where you're doing 4 or 5 minutes of content and you pick the golden best.
Yeah,
jokes.
I would probably look at what worked, and then I mean, I could do more of the Bay Area humor in the Bay Area, but
Yes, you could.
which might be a little funnier there.
Remember
than
too,
here.
and you, I'm sure you know this. Remember this: you'll pick the 5 jokes that worked, and then like 2 of them will work next time, and you go, "What the hell happened? They killed last time."
Right.
You just don't know. So
Right.
it's about doing it enough times to get a larger data sample, really.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's really
That's
easy to
gonna be
do like
great.
one performance, kill the next time, nothing, and you're like deflated. When in actuality, it's, it reminds me a lot when they talk about like, let's say that you do cold calling. And
Yeah.
they say, listen, if you do 100 dials, you will get 10 contacts. And out of
Right.
10 contacts, you'll get 1 appointment, let's say.
Right.
So if you do 100 dials, if you do 99, you're okay doing those 99 dials because you know that the 100th is likely to be your appointment, or that each one of them is just another step in the road towards the victory.
Kind of next, please.
Yeah. So similarly, if you do it next time and you don't have the same grand experience, it's just one of the steps in the road. This is the one that didn't go good. Next time it will go good. Don't let it deflate your sense of it. That you did do well. It wasn't a one-off. So
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
a great
Yeah.
accomplishment, and really appreciate you joining us. And best of luck, Bill.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bill.
Thanks for having me on the show.
That's it for this episode of Funny People Talking. We really appreciate you joining us. As always, love to Elsie, and look forward to having her back on the show very soon. Until next time, for the great and powerful Danielle Beckman.
Goodbye.
I'm the meek and mild Mark Rico. Stay funny, everybody.
That's it? That's the end of the show? Boy, oh boy, what a crock. This was Funny People Talking.
Copyright 2019. No portion of the content may be reproduced or published without the strict written permission of the producers. Connect with our show at Mouth Media Network or at our website, funnypeopletalking.com. I'm your announcer, Peter Coleman. Thanks for listening.
This is Mouth Media Network. Amplify and connect.